Hey, it's Frank here with 4D Honeybee on 9 September, and it's time to kill Costanza. Well, I'm not really killing it, but I've decided what I'm going to do with my troubled hive, the Costanza hive. I'll give you a bit of history on it, tell you what the decision that I've come up with. It's a hive that I initiated last year as a nuke. It did fine through the beginning of spring and summer, and then by about July, it was queenless. So I requeened it in September. And actually it's probably August that it became queenless. I requeened it in September. It took, the queen started laying, it survived winter even though a family of mice moved into its hive. And this spring it started off great, but by about July of this year it became queenless again. I missed the swarm probably by about 10 days or so. And the swarm left me 8 or so queen cells, so I split that. That's the best thing I've ever done. Split all your swarms because it gives 2 separate chances for the hive to be reborn, right? So the split took after a while. Initially, neither the original hive, the Costanza hive, nor the split made a queen. I waited about 40 days. I requeened it myself with purchased fertilized queens. They killed both of them, and the split ended up making their own queen, and she's been doing fine. The original hive, though, the Costanza hive, is still queenless, and it's just a mess. So instead, I thought of combining them, but the best question that was asked of me by, I can't remember his exact name, I'll put it down here, but I think it's 526 Super Bee, was why have they been swarming? Why has the hive been a problem now for 2 years? Right? And I can't really answer that. So because of that, I thought, instead of combining the hives and running the risk that you run into the same problem again, I'm going to minimize the potential likelihood of moving the problem into the new hive, the split hive. So what I'm going to do, instead of doing the merge, what I'm going to do is take the original hive, the Costanza hive, shake all the bees on the ground, and take the resources from that hive and put it into the split hive. So it needs honey, it needs drawn out comb, it needs room to do at least 2 more rounds of egg laying and brood hatching, which will take us to late October. They will hatch out to late October here. That way she gets another 20,000 new bees in that hive, and hopefully some of the bees that you drop in the grass will migrate into the existing hives. There's 6 hives down there, there will be 5 after I do that. But I'll eliminate the hive, and hopefully the problem bees will either die out or they will be accepted into the stronger hives with new roles. So that's the plan. We'll see how it works. Thanks for all your input. Let me know what you think, and thanks for joining me at 4D Honeybee. Okay, so here is the split hive, and I just noticed something interesting. I just came around to the front of the hive because there's a bit of growth. Maybe you can see the remnants of it down there. Look, you see that grass there? And I just went to pull it away, and I noticed that there was a huge spider web right across this whole opening of the hive. See it? So this very smart spider decided to put its web right in front of the hive. And I also saw little bits of pollen in it, so some bees had been trapped in it. So maybe I'm going to change my mind about letting spiders coexist in this neighborhood. Anyway, so for this hive, what I want to do, I've moved your angle back a little bit as well, because I found that I'm always really in tight on these shots, and when I'm looking at the frames, you're missing most of the video. So I'm just going to back it out a bit, and if I have something to show you up close, I'll come close to you. So again, this hive I'm going to open it up, and I'm just going to prepare it by taking out a few of the frames that are not drawn out yet, because we're going to take those home, and then I'll go to the original hive, which I'm going to eliminate today, and I'll take the resources and put them in here. Wow, that is glued shut. Sorry about that, bees. A rude way to be awakened. Make sure the smoker gets on. That's better. Okay, so here, all I really intend on doing, see there's a good number of bees in there, Look for the queen on the lid. I don't see her. It's a gorgeous day today. It's 23 degrees Celsius, which is 73 Fahrenheit. And the thing is, it's just now become overcast. So it's a beautiful foraging day. September 9th. We've had an incredible summer here for bees. The weather has been fantastic. Not dry at all, but hot and sunny for, 7 out of 9 days, 7 out of 10 days, 7 out of 8 days. So it's been good bee weather. So into this hive now, let's see which frames I'm going to pull out here. They will be pretty obvious because you'll see that they're not drawn out at all. Wow. Ooh, good number of bees here. See, so at quick look in here, and you see that there's a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 5 frames drawn out, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get out to these 2 or 3, or maybe this one, they're not quite drawn out at all. So I'm going to change that now by going to the bad hive, pulling its good resources and putting them in here. And then we'll close this one back up. I'm also going to reduce the hive entrance on this one, just in case they need to defend themselves from the original hive. All the bees that I'm going to drop in the grass there, it should be easier to do when the hive is, when the entrance is reduced. So let's pull some useless frames out of here. First of all, make room for the good ones. I'm going to move the rest of them over and then maybe check this one, see if it's okay. And right now I've pulled 3 frames out. So if this one's a honey frame, I'll leave that one in there, push the rest of them over, maybe put 2 honey frames, maybe that should be it. That should be enough for this hive right now. Okay, this is a frame that's nicely drawn out, but it doesn't have any stores in it. So again, being that it's an end frame and they're just starting to put nectar on this side, I think I will take this frame and replace it with a frame that's absolutely full of honey. So really important now that I look for the queen here, and I'm not that good at finding the queen, you know that, right? If you watch me at all. Wow, incredible dark orange pollen on these bees. I hope you can see some of it. It's amazing. So anyway, let me look for the queen now, see if she's on here. Well, I don't see her on here, but I'm going to shake this. I'm going to shake these bees inside the hive. It's not all that easy to do, but better shake it inside than out, in case the queen just happens to be on here. Oops. There we go. Okay, so now it's time to get over to the sick hive and get the resources out of that hive and put into this hive. Now, seeing that I've never done this before, I'm a little apprehensive. Not so much for knocking all the bees off and putting them down in the grass, but I'm apprehensive about having both boxes open at the same time and moving honey resources, which can really lead to robbing. We are heading into robbing season, and that's one thing that I don't want to subject the new hive to. So I want to keep both boxes open for as little time as possible. I want to move the resources as soon as possible. It's 4 frames that I want to move over, 4 honey frames. And then I want to close up that box before I spill all the bees onto the grass here. So I'm just not sure quite how that's going to manifest itself. So we'll just have to see. You can see far fewer bees in this hive, right? It's basically a hive that's on its way to dying. I don't see it surviving the winter without a queen, and with this few number of bees that it has. Okay, so first things first, just to grab the honey and move it over. Wow. So this is a nice heavy frame. It's not completely capped though. But it's a good frame of resources, so I'm going to take this one over. I believe there's probably 3 honey frames up here in the top box, and then probably one good one in the bottom box. I'm just going to come over and push these bees off into the grass by the camera, just off to stage left here. Okay, so I went and got my gloves on because these bees are already getting pretty antsy, and there's just a roar inside this hive, which, you know, is usually quite readily associated with the fact that there's no queen in there. So just so that I can work patiently and not worry about bees coming at me, and since there's going to be so many bees in the air and on the ground, I'm suiting up. So here's another nice frame of honey which will go into the new hive. Both sides. Good shape. So this will be the last honey frame that I put in there. Not completely filled up, but it's going to have to be good enough. Here you see the the more or less finished product. Now we have a hive with 4 honey frames, and the rest are all drawn out frames for brood. So she can keep laying in here. Actually, I wouldn't mind checking out this frame. I'm going to check out one more frame because I don't want there to be 5 honey frames right now. I'm just going to smoke them a bit to get them down. But this frame, I want to make sure this frame isn't all honey, because if it is, I'm going to pull it out and put in a more brood-friendly frame here. And again, the reason why is I want 4 frames of honey in this hive, not 5. Right now, like I've said before, this hive has another full, I'd say, oh, there's a beautiful brood frame. It's brood on both sides, so no, it stays, it stays. Make sure we don't roll any of these. The queen could be on there. Yeah, so so this hive still has a full, I'd say, 6 weeks to be able to lay and to, what am I looking for? Smoker. And to hatch brood. So I want to maximize her ability to lay, and I want to make sure that they have all the resources required to feed that brood as soon as they emerge. So that's it for this one then. This one's done. Now I got to go finish killing Costanza. So as I mentioned, I'm also going to put a queen excluder down, which is going to be hard because there's so many bees there. Look at that. So I want to put this queen excluder down just in case this hive starts to suffer from robbing because of its newfound riches. It's still, I mean, it's a decent number of bees in this hive, but it's not massively populated. So defense of the hive is an issue for them. So just going to set down this excluder here and just make it a little easier for them to defend themselves. And of course this excluder won't fit. Look at that. Cheapers. Okay, let's try another one. I'm wondering why these things aren't all made standard, and I guess I won't know the answer to that, but I do have a smaller one, so I'll slide this one in. And there they go. Okay, get out of there, guys. Get out. Get out. Okay. So, there you go. Just a bit of protection. Reduced entrances so that it'll be easier for them to defend themselves. Okay, so you may have figured out, my battery actually wasn't low, it was dead. It was done. So I couldn't finish the filming of the final step there in the process. And it's interesting. It was pretty emotional. It was not easy. When I got back to that box, there were still, what, 20, 30,000 bees there? And I had to deal with the fact that I felt like I was taking them out of their home. I was giving them a death sentence. And that may very well be what happened. It may be that some of those bees worked their way into other hives. It may be that they just died the first cold night. Who knows? But the one, and I actually had second thoughts. Just as I got back to the hive, I thought, there's so many bees here, why don't I just throw some frames in, button it back up and see what happens? But that really wasn't the smart thing to do. Other hives needed those resources. So this hive here, which is doing fantastic, needs drawn out frames. It needs drawn out comb, and it needs some honey. So that's going to come from the hive that I shut down. Now, the hive isn't completely gone because I split that hive. So all the resources, the 4 honey frames, went from the hive that I terminated to the new hive. So that hive carries on. And but it was a hard decision. It was a hard thing to do because, you know, you don't go into this thinking, all right, I'm prepared to kill 20 or 30,000 bees. So now that whole hive came from a nuke that I started 2 years ago, which was about 6,000 bees. So there wouldn't even be 20 or 30,000 bees if they weren't kept and they weren't nurtured the way I did. But it's just not an easy thing to do. That's what I'm trying to bring up here. And I mean, I wasn't sobbing, you know, crying emotionally, but it was something that stirs you up a little bit because you get to appreciate these critters and you get to really respect what they do and the part that they play in nature. I'm an outdoorsman. I'm a closet redneck, I like to say, and it was hard to do that. I never ever want to mess with nature in a way just for sport or for fun. So, but anyway, I made the decision. I stuck with it. I researched it, and I got a lot of input. So I'm looking to hear your input. Was it the right decision? Was it the wrong decision? And we carry on. I'm going to go back up there tomorrow probably to check out that hive. Just the whole area, just to see where the bees have gone. I don't know if I'm going to show up and there's going to be no sign of them, or if they're all going to be sitting there where the box used to be. It'll be really interesting to find out. So anyway, that'll conclude this video, and thanks for joining me on my ride at 4D Honeybee.